How are we doing, everybody? Welcome to the Blitz podcast. My name's Omar. I'm with Abdul, and we got a great episode for you guys today.
We're going to be talking about every player that the Bears drafted in the 2021 NFL Draft. We're going to be talking about players that we wanted drafted but didn't get drafted. We're going to be talking about the NFC Division Draft as a whole, the NFC North Division Draft as a whole, the Packers, Vikings, and Lions. And we're also going to be talking about Aaron Rodgers wanting to leave the NFC North and the Packers.
Yeah, I mean, that's big controversy, so let's get right into it.
All right, so with our first draft reaction, we're going to be talking about our first round pick. We took quarterback Justin Fields out of Ohio State University at 11.
I mean, I don't know what to tell you, man. I'm
dumbfounded too.
Dude, it was just crazy how that happened. So I want to tell you guys what first almost every Bears fan was thinking coming into the draft. At pick number 20, we were probably thinking, oh, we can trade up and get Mac Jones, or we could stay at 20, or get Tevin Jenkins, or maybe Christian Darrisaw if he were to drop to us. So for us to get Justin Fields at pick 11, that is a crazy drop for him. He is easily a top 3 quarterback in this draft class. I have to admit something. I was wrong. So when I watched Justin Fields in his college last year in college, I watched the game where he did bad against Northwestern.
Yeah, so he had two bad games. Yeah.
He had 2 bad games. One against
Indiana. One against Indiana and one against Northwestern.
One against Northwestern. So when I watched that Northwestern game, I said, man, all that hype is for nothing. He's going to be a bust in that. So we do another podcast called Real Talk Network. So if you guys want to check that out. But in that podcast, I said Justin Fields will be the bust he'll be the Josh Rosen of the draft. I take that back. What I've done, so once Justin Fields got taken, I watched an hour and 15-minute video of every pass and every run play Justin Fields did. And oh my God, the dude is a freak.
I need to watch that video,
The dude is an absolute freak. I feel so bad because I said he was a bust, but this dude is crazy. He has game. He's the best quarterback we've ever drafted. I was
by far.
So happy.
People like to say that people like to argue that this is Trubisky 2.0 all over again. No. Completely different. Listen,
so Trubisky only played he started 13 games in college.
1 season, yeah.
Okay. Justin Fields, he played 4 games. He started 1 or 2 games in Georgia his freshman year.
Yeah, and then he transferred out.
He came in, but he did really well. He hit through 4 touchdowns, 4 rushing touchdowns as well. He did well for them, and then he went to Ohio State and had 41 touchdowns, only 3 interceptions, over 70% completion, or around 70% completion percentage. That is crazy for his sophomore year, and then he goes into his junior year for a shortened season, and he got injured in the what was it? And I think in the Northwestern game he injured his thumb.
He was very injured in the Northwestern game.
And then I think in the other game he injured his elbow. He got in his elbow and his elbow's bothering him. And then with the Clemson hit in his rib cage, but I mean you saw him come back from that hit, and then he threw the touchdown or whatever. And then Alabama, he got tackled, and you can still see he was in pain around his ribcage area. But the dude is proven. He's a proven quarterback in college. He's not a Mitch Trubisky who only played 13 games and just shined bright for 1 year and busted in the NFL. No, this man proved himself for those 3 years in college and is coming into the NFL with just the mentality of I can win. I'm going to be better than everyone. I've had that experience.
So I can't believe it either. We were watching the draft together, and I was hoping there's no way Justin Fields falls out of the top 3. If 3 teams, because we know that the top 3 teams are going to take quarterbacks. We know that the Niners traded up to get a quarterback. We know that the Jets, they don't have a quarterback anymore. Their starting quarterback is James Morgan before the draft, so they needed to draft a quarterback. We knew that there were going to be 3 quarterbacks taken in the top 3, and I thought one of them was going to be Justin Fields. And I'm so just dumbfounded that they didn't take Justin Fields. Trey Lance is a solid prospect. Trey Lance, he has such a high ceiling, but he is not established. He did not play in a hard division like the Big Ten. He didn't play against tough competition. He played in what was the FCS or that division. He played for North Dakota State University. That the competition difference between that and the Big Ten is completely different. It's night and day. And he had what, 300 or so pass attempts. He does not have that much experience. He's not established like Justin Fields. I had Justin Fields as the number 2 quarterback prospect, and I think that if it was any other year, he would be the number 1 quarterback taken off the board. It's just that Trevor Lawrence is a generational prospect, but Justin Fields by far is the greatest quarterback that the Bears have drafted. Even from day one, like looking at his stats. In the full season that he played, 14 games for Ohio State University, 3,273 yards, 41 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, 181 rating, and also in 14 games. And then last year, they played, 6 games or so, and he still had 22 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. He had a great season, and they made the college football playoffs, and if you watch that Clemson game, he was smoking them. He was throwing...
Destroyed them.
Those deep bombs, he gets hit, he comes back, and he just throws a dime.
Tough. Yeah.
He's mental toughness. He takes a hit, he comes back in the game. He has great mental aptitude. I don't know if you saw the test, but they administered tests to draft prospects. He had first out of 6,500. First, he scored first. He's like, and to give perspective on his score, Mahomes scored 110, and over 100 is great, considered great. And he scored 130. Like, I'm so dumbfounded that we got this prospect.
Listen, I don't know if you heard this, but Ian Rappaport came out with this like sort of fun fact thing that Matt Nagy did with Justin Fields, and that was that 2 months ago. So around 2 months ago, Matt Nagy told Justin Fields about a specific play, and a specific like formation and this and that, and then the day before the draft. It was either the day before the draft or the day of the draft. Matt Nagy called him again. He was like, "Hey, Justin Fields, do you remember that play that we talked about 2 months ago?" And Justin Fields repeated it back perfectly, everything perfectly. This man has an amazing memory. You know what that translates to? Reading defenses. You know who doesn't know how to read defenses? Mitchell Trubisky. You know how crazy it is to have a quarterback like Justin Fields. That man, like you said, he throws deep bombs. And crazy memorization. He can definitely read defenses. He's gonna mold to be an amazing quarterback. Proven. Trey Lance only played 17 games in college. He's more of a Mitchell Trubisky than.
And even Zach Wilson. Well, Zach Wilson had he started for his first 2 years, but he didn't play all the games in the first few years. And then he had one good season last year, 33 touchdowns and 3 interceptions. He had a good year, but. Just look at the competition. Obviously, Trevor Lawrence has the highest competition playing in. Trevor Lawrence played in the ACC, I believe, and so there's tough competition there. But with Justin Fields playing the Big Ten, I'd say that it just exceeds the competition that Trevor Lawrence, that Zach Wilson and Trey Lance had to play. Obviously, I like the situation that Trey Lance has put himself in, or that he got drafted into, but I think that the city of Chicago has never had a quarterback of this standard. If watching the draft, it looked as if Justin Fields was a little sad, but when you think about it, he lost out on $16 million. If he was drafted quarterback 2, he would have gotten such a huge contract. And the draft pick number 2 compared to draft pick number 11 is a difference between about $16 million. So he was doubted, he was passed on, he was quarterback 4 taken, and all of those teams that came before, there were, like the Josh Rosen quote, there were 9 mistakes made ahead of him. There were 10 mistakes made ahead of Justin Fields.
I mean, hopefully it doesn't turn out to be a Josh Rosen.
Oh no, definitely not.
But, something I want to mention is that most teams had him as a consensus 2 or 3 quarterback in the draft, and also 2 months ago, he was the consensus number 2 in the draft for years, since like high school. So the dude was playing under Trevor Lawrence's shadow, but that didn't slow him down in the slightest. He would go to camps. He did everything he could. Such a hard worker to prove himself that he's the best quarterback. But I mean, he's going against Trevor Lawrence, who was the generational prospect ever since.
He's like the next Andrew Luck.
Yeah, I mean, but we never know. I think because everyone was saying Justin Fields was a Trevor generational prospect, generational child, only 2 months ago. So I mean, you could factor in the injuries, and he only had 2 bad games. So I mean, the man has proven himself those past few
years.
He's established. Who throws for 41 touchdowns and 3 interceptions for over 3,200 yards? And you're gonna say, no, this man's a bust.
And he was the Heisman finalist that year.
And Heisman finalist, and in the toughest division in college. That's crazy, dude.
Mm-hmm.
That's crazy. So, I mean, I was also one of those. That's why I apologize. I
Mm-hmm.
was also one of that mindset where,
Mm-hmm.
oh, I think Justin Fields is a bust because he did bad in those two games. But then, what was that one stat that people said about Zach Wilson about him having their against teams
Zach
10-0?
Wilson against teams 10-0 or teams that have 10 wins or above, he had 0 touchdowns and 7 interceptions. It was something along those lines that he can't play against teams that have that
Yeah,
many
I mean,
wins.
how is that going to translate into the NFL if you can't
Mm-hmm.
play against good teams? And then you got
But it's
Justin
also
Fields.
situation. It's also situation as well. Justin Fields, he's coming to a team. Well, if we're comparing it to Zach Wilson's getting put in a terrible situation because the team doesn't have a winning mentality. The Bears made the playoffs. They have a great defense, arguably a top 5 defense. We're building up the O line. We're making and the weapons. We have
Oh my.
Monty. He has Allen Robinson. He has Mooney. He has Komet. He has the weapons around him. We're putting him in a position to succeed. And when I look at teams like the Jets, the Jets are up and coming. But the Jets are the Jets. The Jets, their O line. Well, they're beefing up their O line because they got Elijah Vera Tucker. But
And it
the
looks like
situation, the
yeah.
situation just
So,
completely different.
but the thing I want to say is Robert Saleh on the new Jets coach has a winning mentality. I mean, the
That's
dude
true.
came from the. If you see in him how he acts when he was with the 49ers as defensive coordinator, he stood out more than Kyle Shanahan himself. The dude was screaming at the top of his lungs always. He had that energy.
He had to have that guy to pull him back off the sidelines.
For real, he had to have that guy to pull him back on the sidelines. That dude is a winner too. He will make a winning mentality in the New York Jets. I have faith in Robert Saleh. I think he'll be a great coach.
But it's a project. It's a project.
It is a project. But listen, Zach Wilson, I think is a boomer bust when it comes to day one. So he only proved himself for 1 year, but I think that's how most quarterbacks are when they prove themselves for 1 year. They're either boom or bust when they come into the NFL. Justin Fields proven himself all 3 years in the NFL. Is a day one starter. I don't know if they will play him in the week one.
I don't know. I've heard some things about Ryan Pace saying that he wants to, or Pace and Nagy want to replicate the Alex Smith and Pat Mahomes, where Pat Mahomes sat out the first year. I don't know if he'll sit out the entire year, or I don't even know if he could start day one. I think that he's NFL ready and he could start day one, but it's just a matter of, are the Bears going to be competitive next year? Looking at the schedule, are we going to be competitive next year? And do we have a need to get him a good amount of experience?
So this is what I think is going to happen, because I mean, first of all, the Bears fan base is crazier than the Kansas City Chiefs fan base. So when Andy Dalton's doing bad, they're going for heads if they don't put Justin Fields in. So eventually, either if Andy Dalton gets injured or Andy Dalton starts performing bad probably consistently, then Justin Fields will come in, and I honestly give that like 3 to 4 games.
Yeah,
because that's what happened with Mike Glennon. Mike Glennon, the dude who punted a ball during a snap, he had to be taken out because he was just consistently bad. Mitchell Trubisky came in, and people thought, oh, look, he's actually kind of decent, but I mean, we all know how that turned out.
The thing is, with Justin Fields, if we're going based off of what happened in 2017, we drafted a quarterback, and he wasn't that good, and we still made the playoffs like two times in 3 years.
That's because our defense.
Obviously, our defense. So my expectations, if we have Justin Fields, we have to operate. We have to beef up the team, and we have to operate on this rookie contract. That's how teams thrive. When they have an elite rookie quarterback, and his contract is 4 years, $18.4 million. That's a steal. If he pans out to be what we think that he's going to be in the NFL, that is a steal. And teams, when they're on that contract, you see that the Chargers are up and coming because they have an elite quarterback that's young and on his rookie contract. The Chiefs, they won a Super Bowl on Pat Mahomes' rookie contract. It is up and coming. This is the new way of the NFL, and the team just have to go for at least a 2022-2023 Super Bowl run. That's, in my eyes, that has to happen.
And we still have our defensive pieces too. I mean, we did lose Kyle Fuller, which is a bummer, but we still have Khalil Mack, we still have Roquan, we still have Akeem Hicks, we still have Eddie Jackson, we still have Jalen Johnson, we still have our star defensive pieces that we could operate with. I mean, why not? We still have a top 5 defense, arguably, which I still think we do. The only reason why we didn't.
It's because they're on the field 24/7.
Because they were on the field 24/7, and our offense wasn't giving them any rest at all. I mean, you look at Akeem, Khalil Mack, those dudes are just dying on the field, gassed out of breath because
Mhm.
they're always on the field. Um, so
I'm just
honestly,
amazed. Like,
yeah, I'm amazed. Justin Fields will definitely help out that defense. He'll help out a lot too. He'll
mhm.
help out defensive line because I mean the dude could. I think he'll probably scramble better than Mitchell Trubisky will. I think that he's gonna provide a deep ball threat.
Mhm.
So
That we've never
they won't,
had.
which we've never had. So I doubt there's gonna be as many blitzes as they did against us.
Mhm.
And we beefed up our offensive line, which we're gonna be talking about in a bit.
Mhm.
But this is definitely just an amazing pick. I was not expecting us to get Justin Fields at 11. When I saw him drop, dude,
I
my
was like,
eyes were
I was
just,
going crazy, dude.
dude.
I was
Anxiety
like,
was
trade
just
up. I
crazy.
was like, pace, trade
My
up.
anxiety.
You have to go to 7. You have to go to, and I just want to give a thank you to the Broncos for passing on him when they don't have a quarterback situation. They traded for Teddy Bridgewater. They
Yeah,
traded a 6th rounder for Teddy Bridgewater, but we know what Teddy Bridgewater is. I want to thank the Panthers they traded for Sam Darnold, so that's their quarterback situation, and they chose to not draft Justin Fields when he came their way. And I'm so happy that Pace traded up because I heard there were reports that the Vikings were interested at taking him at 14.
at 11 actually, they were thinking about trading up.
Oh, they were
So
thinking about trading
there's
up
another
as well.
report that came out that said they were thinking about trading up with the Giants to take up, but we outbid them to take
Oh, okay.
Justin Fields. So
And they drafted
here's
their
what I'm
guy.
gonna.
They drafted their guy in the 3rd round, but it's Kellen Mond. Like the difference between Kellen Mond and Justin Fields, like,
So here's what I'm gonna say is that this is all thanks to Aaron Rodgers. I'm
oh,
gonna tell you why.
thank you.
So Aaron Rodgers said he doesn't want to be with the team.
Mhm.
We'll talk about about that more later. Doesn't want to be with the team. Broncos are the leading people to get Aaron Rodgers, so they're like, all right, let's get a cornerback instead. You know, we'll pass up. We can get Aaron Rodgers,
Mhm.
or we might be able to. So we'll get a cornerback instead. They got Patrick Surtain, and then that's the dude Jerry Jones wanted for the Cowboys.
Mhm.
So he's like, ah, dang. I mean, I can't get Patrick Surtain. I'll trade back to the Eagles.
Mhm.
Eagles get Devontae Smith. That's what the Giants wanted. They're like, ah, dang, we can't get Devontae Smith. Let's trade back. And that's
There's
how we came in.
it's such
And
a
we got
chain
Justin Fields.
reaction. It's so
It really
crazy.
is. It's
It's
just a
so
butterfly
crazy to
effect.
think about. Like the thing is with once the pick was in, there was so many there was obviously great reaction from the fan base, but there was also criticism. The OSU there's a quarterback curse. The OSU quarterback curse, and then there's the Bears quarterback curse. So he has so much expectations on his shoulders that he has to carry. He has to be good because he has to break the curse. But the thing is, he is not like any of the OSU quarterbacks. If you look at percentage, they like to say that he's exactly like Dwayne Haskins. Dwayne Haskins is obviously a fail within the NFL. He's on his 3rd year, going into his 3rd year. So I don't know if to say fail, but he was not good in Washington, and he was an OSU quarterback. JT Barrett in 2017 didn't succeed in the NFL. But those guys, if we're going to go off passing yards because they want to compare him just from that, Justin Fields has such a good deep ball. He has 70% of passing yards before the catch. And then if you look at those other 2 quarterbacks that had great years within the system, 48 and 51. Those guys are just dink and dunkers, and they're not Justin Fields.
Okay, first of all, neither of them had the notoriety Justin Fields had.
Mm-hmm.
Second of all, Dwayne Haskins is a literal bum because not only did he barely I honestly believe he doesn't like football because
Mm-hmm.
he barely studied the playbook. I mean, I'm pretty sure there were reports saying he didn't memorize a lot of the playbook.
Mm-hmm.
2, the dude was just out clubbing the entire time. He didn't care about sport. He didn't care about training or anything. He just didn't have that football mindset to be great. And second of all, you said the curse about Ohio State and the curse about the Bears.
Mm-hmm.
I like math, so a negative times a negative is a positive. So
with
I think he'll break our curse. I think Justin Fields is that man to just step into that position and prove to Chicago that he's our quarterback.
What I like
He's the man
about
of the city.
Justin Fields is going off Dwayne Haskins. Dwayne Haskins does not have that leader mentality. Dwayne Haskins,
Oh, yeah.
I heard this report that Dwayne Haskins they were getting blown out by another team, and he was on the sidelines jumping and dancing and saying that he had a 300-yard passing game. That's like he is not a leader. Justin Fields, just from what I've seen, he's a leader.
He's not a winner either.
He's Justin Fields is an actual like he has that mindset. I've seen all the videos that he's been posting. I've seen him just in his interviews. I don't know if you've seen a couple of his interviews, but he has that attitude. He said that I expect to be a franchise quarterback.
Yeah.
They said, do you have any expectations? Because you have the OSU quarterback curse and you have the Bears quarterback curse on your shoulders. And he says, that's no added pressure. I expect myself to be that. And he has that attitude going in. These guys doubted me. I'm the fourth quarterback taken off of the board, and I have a city to prove myself to. So having that mentality, because we did not have that with Mitch, even in the slightest. Mitch is pretty much just like, oh, I'm here. I'm gonna try to be good. He didn't have that like
mentally weak.
Yeah.
Mentally weak, in my opinion. Mitch, I mean, remember that time where he had to turn off all the TVs at Hallis Hall because he couldn't take the heat from the media?
They did
How
that?
how are you
What?
a football player and you can't handle heat from the media?
That was a thing?
Yeah, that was like in 2019, I think.
Oh,
They turned off all the TVs. I mean, people were just clowning him even more after that. Mitchell Trubisky, I mean, I honestly believe that Matt Nagy ruined him mentally because he just doesn't have that strong mentality that you need in a quarterback to win. When you have your coach telling you that you pretty much just your booty, and then John Foles comes in for you, that affected him mentally too. I mean, he's not that strong mentally. He Once he gets hit, he just starts like
plays
flinching
scared.
back. Yeah, he plays scared. He sees ghosts.
And that's the opposite with Fields. When Fields gets hit, he comes back right back.
Oh yeah.
And to talk about Nagy, this is on Nagy's shoulders as well because he has to play to Justin Fields' strengths. With Trubisky, if you were looking at last year, we saw that there was an improvement with Bill Lazor play calling because he adhered to Trubisky's strengths. With Nagy, when Trubisky was playing, he wanted him under center. He wanted him to be a pocket passer. Trubisky did not use his legs at all, and that is completely different with Justin Fields. Justin Fields runs a 4.44 40. Justin Fields is one of the fast. Oh yeah, and he stumbled. It was actually faster. Justin Fields is one of the fastest quarterback prospects. He's probably the fastest quarterback prospect. You have to adhere to his strengths. He can scramble. You cannot limit him to his abilities. You can't limit him to only some of his abilities. You can't make him a pure pocket passer. So this is on Nagy's shoulders because Nagy said he was going to resume play calling next year. If Nagy does not adhere to all of his strengths, then that's not going to be good.
Nagy got his quarterback. I mean, he had to inherit Mitchell Trubisky. I don't think Matt Nagy liked Mitchell Trubisky, but now he has his quarterback. He has to prove to us, hey, I can play well I can use Justin Fields well in my system, and I can be a winner. And going back to when we were talking about the winning mentality between Dwayne Haskins and Justin Fields, Dwayne Haskins doesn't have a winning mentality. Justin Fields, how many games has he lost in the Big Ten?
I think it was zero regular season.
He only lost one against Clemson during the playoffs, or two technically. One against the playoffs in the championship game, or the semi-championship game. Then he lost the other one against Alabama. But during the actual season, he's never lost. That dude is a winner. He doesn't care about stats. He doesn't care about how he does, as long as it moves the chains and it wins him the game. He will rush if he needs to. He'll get those hard yards if he needs to. He will pass if he needs to. He wants just to move the chains and win. And that's what I like. I love that mentality in a player where I just want to win. There was a football player, a QB, Ian Book of Notre Dame, who I thought was very underrated because he had that winning mentality too.
Got drafted by the Saints.
He got drafted by the Saints, I think in the 4th. That man was also a winner. That's why I liked Ian Book. He had a winning mentality, and he was the winningest quarterback in Notre Dame history. That's crazy. I mean, they had what, Joe Montana or something? I think it was like Joe Montana come out of.
I did not know where he came from.
So
Joe Montana.
They had one of those really. They had a really good quarterback come out of Notre Dame, but for Ian Book to do that, I thought that was good for him because he had a winning mindset, and that's something that I think Justin Fields has, but more. He has that winning mentality, but he also has that athletic ability. He also has that quarterback just like bombing it down the field accurately. He can scramble. He can read defenses. He's intelligent. He's gonna be amazing for us. I
can't wait.
I spent probably like 2-3 days, the entire day, just watching his film, listening to him, just everything, his movement, everything. This dude will be a monster.
We have high expectations for him, but the city of Chicago, I hope we don't like suffocate him because I've been seeing all this stuff that's just like, we've never had anything like this, so we're sorry if we're a little bit crazy, but I expect big things from him. I want to see us make deep playoff runs. I want to see us build around him, which we're doing so far, and we're setting him up for success. And I honestly just can't wait for the future.
He's gonna be fine because he had to go through that criticism and that hate last season when people were doubting him. He had so many doubters. Me for one, I doubted him. He had so many doubters, and he knew he had doubters, and he knew he had haters, and it was just rising because of those two games that he had. People were saying, "Oh, he's not gonna be this or that," and him dropping in the draft also definitely has to affect. If that was Mr. Trubisky dropping in the draft, if people were saying, "Oh, you're gonna go second, third overall," and he dropped to 11, I promise you that man would be just mentally just gone after that. He couldn't handle that. That adversity and him going past that
It's gonna make him play
adversity and
better.
fighting it, yeah, it's gonna make him play better. But that's also him saying, "Oh, that doesn't bother me. Nothing bothers
He's
me.
out with something to prove.
I have to prove something. I'm gonna be the best." And that's what I mean. That's what Chicago wants. We've never had a winning quarterback. Jim McMahon was a winning quarterback. He wasn't like amazing.
Carried.
Yeah, so carried by our defense
And Walter Payton. That's literally it.
But that man, he would fight Mike Ditka and not do the plays he wants. And so I heard this story where Mike Ditka called a play, and then Jim McMahon, he said he did another play, and then he got the first yards. And then Mike Ditka got mad and was yelling. He was like, "Why did you call my play?" And then Jim McMahon said, "If I did your play, it wouldn't have worked. My play worked. Why are you yelling?" That's the mindset I think Fields will have. He'll be like, "Hey, Nagy, this play that you called, I'm not gonna do it. I'm just gonna do this play because I know it's gonna work. And I guarantee you, whatever play Justin Fields is gonna call that he thinks he's gonna work is gonna work because he has that winning mindset that I'll do whatever I want to move the chains and win the game for us, whether it be dirty or whether it be clean."
There's so many things that I love about Justin Fields. Like we touched upon this earlier. We finally have a quarterback who can throw the ball more than 10 yards. When we watched the entire season, I can name plays over. I remember we were 8-9 weeks into the season, and I remember I was watching the Rams game. We did not have a play over 40 yards until the Rams game, bro. We didn't have a play or a pass over 40 yards. That is absurd.
Yep.
We actually have a person, and you see Mooney dotting up Jalen Ramsey. You see him dotting up all these cornerbacks, and he gets overthrown. Justin Fields had a passer rating of 154.4 with over 20 yards. That man is a deep throw demon. And even you watch the Clemson game, and he just is just throwing deep bombs and deep bomb after deep bomb after deep bomb. He has talent, and he adds something to the offense he adds so many things to the offense, not only just this, that we can build around, and that just propels us to the next level. Because you saw defenses, when they play Mitchell Trubisky, they know that he's not going to throw the ball over 20 yards. They know that that's not a possibility because he doesn't go for big plays like that. So our our offense is so contained to a limited set amount of plays. Play action, where it's just a rollout to Komet, which we saw about 30 billion times last year, or just a run up the middle. It was limited just to only that. So to have him add the deep threat just adds so much to the offense. Honestly, I'm just amazed that we didn't message pick up, because when we traded up, I thought there was a sliver that we would get Mac Jones. Mac Jones isn't a bad prospect, but Justin Fields is so much of a better prospect, and I think we'll have the much better career, even though Mac Jones went to an amazing place and got the greatest head coach of all time. I think that just the difference between prospects is just night and day.
Yeah, I mean, listen. What did Justin Fields have as weapons at Ohio State?
Chris Olave.
And his tight end, Rucker.
And then Trey Sermon.
And Trey Sermon as a running back. Olave and Mooney are practically like decently the same. Just extremely quick, small, and can catch. Rucker and Komet, athletic, can catch, and they're just like bees. They just yards after carry, they'll hit people. I mean, Monty is better than Sermon in my opinion.
Sermon's not established in the league yet. So, Monty's definitely better.
Those are better, but those will help him come to the Bears, because Olave is a Mooney type. Mooney's type is Olave. Rucker is a Komet type, and then we also have Allen Robinson, who he's never had before, where he just throw around him, and he'll catch it. So he's coming into good weapons. people say, "Oh, the wide receiver room for the Bears isn't." Dude, the wide receiver room for the Bears is very good.
It's fair.
We have Allen Robinson, who's just catches anything. We had Mooney, who's a deep threat, who catches anything, a speed threat, catches anything, and we got
Komet. We have
Marquise
Komet.
Goodwin. We have Komet. We have Marquise Goodwin now,
Mm-hmm.
who's also a deep threat. I don't know how his hands are too much, but he's a deep threat at least because he's a speed demon. We have Komet and we have Tariq Cohen coming back, who's just shifty. I would say Tariq Cohen is kind of like that Trey Sermon, but shiftier.
Yeah.
So we'll say like that. He's kind of like Trey Sermon, but shiftier. But can actually catch the ball. Actually, we'll say that we can actually catch the ball well. So he's coming into good hands, and he'll be if he balls out, he'll be amazing. He has that deep threat. He has everything that he needs to succeed. Besides, we'll talk about the O-line later in depth, but he can succeed with us. He just needs to prove it. Between him and Mac Jones, of course he's the better prospect. I mean that's just hands down. Just
you
like
can't even argue that Mac is a better prospect.
But Mac Jones did go into a situation which is very good for him. Bill Belichick is that
he got Tom Brady 2.0.
Yeah, he had Tom Brady 2.0, where I'm not that mobile, but I want to succeed in a system where I can just throw it how I want. That's what Mac Jones wants. He's not that mobile, but he wants to throw it how he wants down the field. He'll bomb it. He's accurate when he's proven he's accurate when he's not pressured, and he'll get that. He's that Bill Belichick type player, that Tom Brady type player. So he went into a perfect system. That's the same thing with Trey Lance. I think Trey Lance went into a perfect system with 49ers. If Mac Jones and Trey Lance didn't go to the teams they went to, they would not succeed. They would not succeed.
They went to great situations. Great situations.
Now, people are saying, oh, Justin Fields, he's not going to a great situation with the Bears because we've never developed a quarterback. But, I mean, I have hope that we don't, he's a day one starter. We don't really need to develop him too much because he's already developed himself to be what he wants. And I think we could develop him to be a good quarterback too. He has the fundamentals. He can run, he can scramble, he can pass. It just really he needs to focus on reading the defenses, how to handle better under pressure. Because I in some tapes he did get sacked a lot because he would focus too much on one.
He has some negative qualities. Like I mean, he holds onto the ball for a little too long, but his advantages outweigh the disadvantages by a lot.
Oh yeah, 100%. And the things his disadvantages, those are the things that can easily be just hammered out because everything that reading. So there was a good play in the Clemson where he looked at his first option, then looked at his second option, and then though they were both coverage sacked, so he tossed it downfield to his running back to his safety valve, and that was just amazing how he read it, how he read that defense, and it was quick too. He saw it. Oh, he's covered. I'm bombing it down there. He'll get a few yards, or maybe break out and get even more yards. That's something we didn't have with Mitchell Trubisky because Mitchell Trubisky was like, oh, hey Rob, I see it. I'm gonna wait till he gets open. He's not open.
That's
okay.
It.
I'm just gonna get sacked. I'm gonna scramble back 15 yards, get sacked. I'm gonna try to bomb it. Interception. Oh, almost interception. I mean, that's not something we have. It's not something we're used to have somebody who can read defenses, can look at, oh, he's my first option. This is my second option. This will be my third option. Where do I have to throw if I bail? He's a smart quarterback. We never had somebody like that. So that's something that really is hard to teach, but he has that fundamentals. And,
he does.
And that's why Mr. Trubisky failed because he struggled with options, reading options, and he struggled with reading defenses. So because Mitchell Trubisky has the athletic ability. He can run, he can scramble. He just needs to work on himself mentally.
Yeah, and reading defenses.
And he could bomb down the field, just not accurately.
Yeah.
Justin Fields can. And that's why I'm excited for him in this pick.
I've been seeing people say that, oh, Bears overpaid. If he turns out to be the guy that we think that he's going to be, this is a steal. Next year's first rounder, obviously, I don't know how the Bears are going to end up. I don't know what their schedule is going to look like. We could pick in the top 10 next year, which we traded to the Giants. Obviously, we traded number 20 this year, 164 this year. We also traded 2021's first rounder and fourth rounder, but that was all for Justin Fields. If Justin Fields is who we think he is, then that is honestly we could have traded 4 firsts for him, because if we're looking at I've been seeing situations that say, or just hypotheticals. Would you rather have Russell Wilson with the 3 giving up 3 first rounders and blah 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 all this stuff, or would you rather have the Justin Fields for the 1 pick? If Justin Fields lives up to what we think he's going to be, then I'd take that 100% over Russell Wilson. He's younger, he's more athletic, he has a really 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 cheap contract. I mean, he's probably getting paid what, like a tenth of what Russell Wilson is getting paid, and I'm no one to say that he'll be better than Russell Wilson, but in the situation that the Bears are in right now, we need to operate on a young quarterback salary. We need this defense to uplift our quarterback. We need our quarterback to uplift our defense, actually. And we saw that in 2018, we didn't succeed because we didn't have a quarterback who could uplift our team. We didn't have a quarterback that could get a first down every play. We didn't have a quarterback that could extend the play. We had a quarterback who played a little bit scared, and Mitch had a decent year that year, but he was carried by the defense. We had the number 1 defense that year. If we had Justin Fields in that situation, it's endless.
I agree. I mean, I agree. And also, when you think about it, you went 8-8 the past 2 years with the absurdly just horrible quarterback play.
Bottom 5 offense, actually. Yeah, bottom 5 offense.
Bottom 5 offense. I mean, but our offense was mostly bad because of our quarterback play, and a little bit because of our O-line too, because our O-line was horrible. But I mean, they picked up in the second half of the season, but we still lost games because of our quarterback play. But arguably, we have a better quarterback room this year. So I see us going more than 8-8. But that means our pick will also be higher in the draft. And if Justin Fields does come in, well, I would say like mid-season or something, and then wins us the rest of those games, we go to playoffs, and we either go lose in the wild card or we win up 1 or 2 games. That's just
that pick's in
like
the 20s.
A high second round.
Yeah,
that's like a high second round draft pick. I mean,
we always pick. The thing is, like, the Bears are not good enough to get a bottom 5 or bottom 5 first round pick, and they're not bad enough to get a top 10 first round pick. Like, they're always in that gray area in between.
And also, another thing is that people overvalue draft picks. The rate of first round picks actually hitting is insane. There's probably I would say 4 or 5 that out of every draft that are actually like good. They're actually like very very good. The rest are average.
If we're looking at just our Gabe Karimi, Leonard Floyd, we hit on Roquan, but Mitchell Trubisky, Kevin White, all these players that we had in the first round, not on the team anymore.
Exactly. I mean,
except for
people overvalue, especially with the Bears, they overvalue first round picks, and we barely hit on first round picks. I'd rather have a second round pick or a third round pick with Ryan Pace, because the dude will always get a demon out of the second or third round.
He can snipe.
Yeah, he snipes well, and he did well in this draft. He did well in the last draft too. I gave a lot of heat for Ryan Pace, and I kind of feel bad.
Feeling like a truther right now, low key.
I feel like a Ryan Pace truther, but I might be like, I might regret this later on. Hopefully not. But I think Ryan Pace has proven himself to be a solid GM. He's learning from. I mean, he's a young GM. He's learning from his mistakes. He drafted Mitch Trubisky without people knowing. This time he said, "I'm not gonna do that." He pretty much admitted to his mistakes. I'm not gonna do that.
I like that.
I'm gonna talk with my coaches. Yeah, I'm gonna talk with my coaches. We'll work it out. And it worked out with Matt Nagy, because Matt Nagy had a connection with the Ohio State coach
Ryan Day. Yeah.
Ryan Day, and then they had that connection with Justin Fields, and he landed to us. For us to have the quarterback carousal and the quarterback calls that we had, just to have Justin Fields fall into our lap, that's insane. That's insane.
The amount of things that forced us to happen, it's kind of crazy when you think about it. I know that we've been talking about our quarterback of the future for a really, really, really long time because we're so excited. But I'd like to talk about the rest of the draft, because Ryan Pace had a really good draft, and it's very evident in the fact in the second round when we traded up to get Tevin Jenkins. I did not think that we even had a chance. When looking at the mocks for Tevin Jenkins is a first-round offensive tackle talent. For those who don't know, we drafted Tevin Jenkins at number 39 overall. He is a offensive tackle out of Oklahoma State, and we traded number 52 in our second round, number 83, which is our third rounder, and we 204, which I believe is a bottom of the fifth or sixth round, and we got 39 and 151. This was so worth it. He is a
Amazing.
steal.
All right. First of all, I want to tell the people that Tevin Jenkins, people had him mocked to us at 20.
Mm-hmm.
He had him mocked to people around I would say like 16
Mm-hmm.
to 25 in the first round. This man's a first round talent. I mean, you watch his tape, it's so fun to watch. The dude just pancakes everybody. He's so aggressive. He's so mean. He blocks everybody. I mean, allowed 0 sacks in the last 2 years. He had 2 sacks in his entire 4-year career in college, and those were in his freshman and sophomore year.
Mm-hmm.
The dude's a demon. I mean, to allow 0 sacks.
He plays so angrily, dude.
Yeah, and
he pancakes.
Oh my god, he loves pancake people. He plays so aggressive. That's what I like in an offensive lineman. He reminds me of an Olin Kreutz type. Olin Kreutz, who was an offensive lineman with us before, was also the angry type. Olin Kreutz also had him as a top 20. So Olin Kreutz on Twitter, if you follow him, that man is very very intelligent with just offensive line type players, and he knows what a good offensive line is and whatnot. I mean, he had him as a top 20 prospect in the NFL draft. That's crazy for us to get Tevin Jenkins, dude. And something that I like about this is that Ryan Pace knows our weaknesses, and he wants to protect our quarterback, which is
he's showing that he's committed. That is great. That he's showing he hasn't drafted a pre-5th round pick on an offensive tackle ever. He's showing Justin Fields that he's committed to protecting him, and I love it.
So for our first 5 picks in the draft, we drafted offensive pieces. So this shows that Ryan Pace got the quarterback he wants, and we want to build around him. And Tevin Jenkins is the perfect piece to have. I mean, okay, our offensive lineman right now, we have Mustafa at center. We have James Daniels coming back from injury at guard. He's probably going to be left guard or right guard, doesn't matter, because Cody Whitehair can also play left guard or right guard. But I think it'll be James Daniels at left guard, Cody Whitehair at wide guard. Then we have Leno. So people are saying that he's gonna either play left or right tackle, but I think he'll play left tackle, and I think Tevin Jenkins will play right tackle. That's a really good offensive line in my opinion. Mm-hmm. That's 100% a step up from what we had majority of the season last season.
Yeah, we had Alex Bars coming in. We had Hambright playing a couple of snaps. And don't get it, we're not going to talk about Rashawn Coward.
Oh yeah, the traffic cone. Yeah, we don't need to talk about him. Then we had just a bunch of people come in to that offensive line, didn't work out. Then we figured it out towards the end of the season with Mustafa at center, who did good against the run. He did good during pass coverage. So did Whitehair at guard. Leno started picking it up towards the end of the season. So our only struggles really was left guard, which James Daniels is coming back. Mm-hmm. So that spot's going to be covered. And now right tackle with Ifedi. But because Ifedi did well for a few snaps.
He's on a 1-year deal though.
He's on a 1-year deal.
Ifedi and Leno, they're both on their last year of their deal. Like Tevin Jenkins is coming in, and I've seen Nagy talk about how Tevin Jenkins is competing. He's coming to compete even with Charles Leno for a spot.
Oh yeah, he's taking a spot easily day one. He's a day one starter.
Yeah, he is.
I think he'll take Ifedi's spot because Leno I think is better than Ifedi.
Mm-hmm.
So, and now we have solid depth in the offensive line. Alex Bars, he's decent depth for the offensive line. So is Ifedi. Alex Bars can play guard. Ifedi can play guard or tackle. That's decent depth for our offensive line. We had a lot of injuries in our offensive line last year. I'm very happy with this pick. A lot of people had him as like the number 2, number 3 best offensive tackle in the class, and I
say somewhere around that, maybe 5th, 4th, because we had Sewell. If we're not talking about Sewell or Slater, and then we have Sewell, Slater, Darisaw. And then
a lot of people had him over Darisaw too.
Yeah, okay, yeah, that is true. People could argue him over Darisaw, and then Elijah Vera Tucker is a guard, so
he's a guard. So yeah, but I'm talking about tackles specifically.
Tackles. Mm-hmm.
So and this he can play guard too. Tevin Jenkins can play guard too.
Mm-hmm.
He's also practicing snaps at center, from what I've heard.
I heard that too.
Which is really good because I honestly believe he'll be teasing at center too. He's an athletic freak,
mm-hmm.
and I watched some tape on him too, and no one can. He's just so smart. I was watching this YouTube video where the dude was like the most violent man
in football. I saw that,
and it showed him start off with him just pushing this dude like across the entire field into his own bench.
I saw that. I saw that clip on Twitter.
I was laughing so hard. That man
He's
destroyed him.
crazy.
But that video is really good. If you guys want to go, I forgot who the
Brett Coleman.
channel name
Brett
is.
Coleman, I
Brett
believe.
Coleman. He analyzed his everything just very well. Because
Hmm.
when Tevin Jenkins, when he snapped that ball, he was up before anyone else, perfectly on the snap. That's similar to David Bakhtiari.
Hmm.
David Bakhtiari, everyone said, oh, he false started, which honestly I
Oh
argue he
yeah.
kind of false started for a couple of times, but like
Oh,
was they slowed it
definitely.
down. That man used to time it
The
perfectly,
Colts
and
game.
that's
There's a video on YouTube. Every time David Bakhtiari false starts in the Colts game, but it gets slower each time. David Bakhtiari, he's the best left tackle in the league,
yeah.
and he is so quick to come off the line of scrimmage, being the first one. He's so smooth and so quick that you don't even notice it. And then watching the tape, Tevin Jenkins is just like that. He's the
Yeah.
first one to react.
And the dude just knows what to do with his hands. He's
Hmm.
very intelligent as a tackle. That's just solid for just the offensive line. So that's a huge boost to our offensive line. A huge boost to our offensive line. That protects Justin Fields, who's going to be our franchise quarterback. Uh, hopefully he's going to be a
Hopefully,
franchise quarterback
hopefully,
in the
hopefully, yeah.
future. That increases our run game and pass game. So
Hmm.
this just helps everywhere. This was an amazing pick. I don't care about that third round pick because we got a first round talent with that third round pick that
Yeah.
we lost. If people are arguing, oh, we lost the pick in the third round, dude, Tevin Jenkins is the real deal at tackle.
Hmm.
He will protect that. He will fight in the trenches like no other
Hmm.
tackle. I was going to say tight end, like no other tackle in the league. I think he'll be extremely solid. I think he has the potential to be a top 10 tackle in the league.
Hmm.
I
Hopefully,
mean,
hopefully,
hopefully.
yeah.
You see. I mean, if you don't believe me, just go watch the video we just said.
Hmm.
The dude. So Brett Coleman, he had him. I think he said he had him in the second or third also, as a
Hmm.
second or third tackle. So I'm telling you, dude, people have him as their second or third tackle.
Hmm.
He has that aggressiveness. So I'm very happy with this pick.
I'm so happy with it. He's one of the best run blocker offensive tackles in the draft. There was so many people mocking him to us at 20, and for him to fall, the thing is, Pace had to trade up for this. There was such a run on offensive tackles as soon as we picked him. We had Cosby going, we had Eichenberg going, there were right after our pick. So, and those players are not on the same level as Tevin Jenkins. And with
Not at
Tevin
all.
Jenkins, what I love about Tevin Jenkins is his mentality. He's an angry player. He came
He
out
is.
with his interview after. He was saying stuff like, "If my quarterback gets hit, then that's a problem with me and not him."
Oh
He
yeah.
he is so protective of the quarterback. He talks about how the most important thing is to keep his quarterback clean. He plays angrily, like that clip where he literally just throws the defender into
Cross. Yeah. It's he just throws him into the bench, dude. That's just.
Mhm. That clip was crazy.
It's great. It's funny too. So I recommend everyone go watch that too
Hmm.
if you wanna laugh. That's that's what we like to see in somebody we draft. Just aggressiveness. He has that drive. He's extremely athletic,
Hmm.
and he just wants the power and just destroy everybody. I mean, he said he wants to impose his willpower on everybody.
Oh
He
yeah, I saw that. I saw
lost,
that.
along with some few other choice words.
Hmm.
Um, I liked Tevin Jenkins. This is an
This is
amazing
an
pick
A
for
plus
us.
pick. I'm
This is
so
an A
happy.
plus. Both Justin Fields is an A plus.
Hmm.
This is just amazing for us. This is a dream scenario because we were supposed to take him at 20 in a lot of mock drafts. I think I had him mocked in a couple of mock drafts that I took taking him at
Hmm.
22. So
I would have been satisfied if we took him at 20. I really want a quarterback, and to have both, it's like pinch me. Are we dreaming as Bears
mhm,
fans? Because this is one of like the best days, like with the best like drafts that I've ever witnessed, because we have so much hope for the future now. We have a quarterback with great potential, and we have an offensive tackle prospect that is going to protect, and just his mentality, all this stuff. It's so great to look towards the future.
I know. I'm very excited for this. I'm very excited for the season to start, dude. I'm so
I
excited.
can't wait either. And so for our next pick, we picked offensive tackle Larry Borum, or Larry Barome, I think that's his name.
I don't know. I think Borum.
Barome,
I
yeah,
think it's Borum.
yeah. We
I
took
I
him.
mean, we'll just say Larry.
Yeah, Larry.
We'll just say
We
Larry.
took Larry at 151, and he comes out of Mizzou. He's played both offensive tackle and offensive guard, and this was a good pick, great pick actually. Or
Yeah, I liked it.
This is a good pick because we're going offensive tackle again. We're just showing we're trying to add more depth to that line. With our O line last year, it was just getting thinner and thinner and thinner because there were so many injuries just attributed to the line. So to add more depth to the room, we signed Elijah Wilkinson from the Broncos. Who's not going to be a starter, but just adding more depth, more depth, more depth. And there are so many stats that show that Larry is a solid prospect. I mean, he said that he's one of the only Power 5 awesome offensive tackles to not allow QB pressure. That's insane.
That's crazy. I think so. His quarterback also said he's also one of the most consistent people he's had blocking for.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, having the lowest QB pressure percentage in the Power 5 is just crazy.
Mm-hmm.
I think he had the lower QB pressure percentage in the entire college, if I'm not mistaken.
I believe that was right.
So yeah, the dude's a freak. The dude's a freak of nature. Definitely, Ryan Pace got him to protect Justin Fields. I mean, Justin Fields should be happy. He got two solid offensive line pieces to protect him. So this is just a great pick. I think he could probably be projected to be a starter. I after watching some tape and I seen a lot of comments about him by other analysts and stuff. He has the potential to be a starter in the league, and
we're not expecting him to be a day one starter. Him coming out of the 5th round.
People are so of course in the 5th round people are going to expect him to be depth, but I mean almost every offensive tackle who's solid or offensive lineman came from like the later rounds of the draft. So he has the potential to be a first round talent. He has the potential to be a starter for us in the offensive line. He could possibly take over Leno's spot once his contract expires. So Tevin Jenkins and Larry could be our future in the offensive line.
Of course. With the next pick, we took running back Khalil Herbert out of Virginia Tech at 217. I think this is a solid pick. I think that he'll be more of a special teams player.
Yeah, so I think he's going to take over Cordero Patterson's spot because he was used a lot in the kick returning for them. He averaged 27 yards per kick return. That's pretty good for a kick returner. And if you watch his tape, that dude is very patient. He's kind of like Devin Hester. He's just patient, and he tries to see where the holes are in the defense, or in the defense, and he just blasts right through. The dude is very fast too. I mean, he ran a 4.540, or so I think a little bit slower, or I mean a little bit faster, like 4.46 or something. But the dude is very fast, and the dude is patient, and he's smart. So I think he'll be our starting punt returner, our kick returner to replace Cordero Patterson. He has the potential to be our running back 3 in the future, or running back. Yeah, I would say
running back 3.
Yeah, taking Damien Williams' spot because we only have Damien Williams for a year, right?
Yeah.
So I think he could take Damien Williams' spot in that running back 3 in the future if he proves himself. But I could see him starting as our special teams player as a kick returner.
Yeah, when you were saying he could take over Cordell Patterson's spot, I just instantly imagine him lining up at Wildcat and trying to run. Definitely not like that. Definitely a special teamer. We need a kick returner because Cordell Patterson's gone. Cordell Patterson is now on the Falcons. So to have this in the 6th round is a solid pick. You said his stats. He 155 attempts for 1,183 yards and 8 touchdowns. He's solid in the run game as well, 7.6 yards per carry. That's pretty decent. I'm not projecting him to be the Bears' starting running back. Obviously, I think that he'll be in the future. Obviously, the running back room is very, very, very. There's so much depth to it.
Yeah.
We have Tariq Cohen, or we have Montgomery. We have Tariq Cohen. We have Damien Williams, and then we have Artavis Pierce and Ryan Nall. And Artavis Pierce or Ryan Nall is actually on a 1-year deal as well. So come past this season, we're not going to have Ryan Nall and Damien Williams pending their extension. So to add more depth to the running back room this in the 6th round, might as well take a shot.
I think he'll be better than both Artavis Pierce and Ryan Nall. He was projected to be like a round 4 running back.
Oh.
So I mean, for Virginia Tech, I mean they're in a decent conference too. To get 1,183 yards, that's extremely
And that was
solid.
with his first year with the team.
With his first year with the team, and 7.6 yards per carry. That's extremely solid for a running back. So I could see him taking over that going into that running back 3 position, honestly sooner rather than later. So I think he's just like a hidden gem for us. I don't think he is the hidden gem for us.
Yeah.
I wanna talk about who I think will be the hidden gem for us. And I think he's later in the draft,
Hmm.
sort of in that late round. So, but I like this pick a lot. I like this pick a
Yeah,
lot.
I like it too.
Take over that Cordell Patterson kick return spot. We definitely need someone to take over that position.
Hmm.
Hopefully, he'll be a solid special teams player for us, and hopefully come into that running back position.
With the next pick, we took wide receiver Daz Newsome out of UNC at 221.
I like this dude's name, Daz Newsome.
Daz.
Yeah,
His dad said he named him after Daz Dillinger, which is like some like Snoop Dogg rapper or something like
yeah, I
that in the
don't,
'90s. I don't know, but he
yeah,
added
I
a
don't know.
Z to the name,
Yeah,
so
Daz.
that's his name, Daz with two Z's.
But this dude, from what I've heard and what I've seen, he looks like an Anthony Miller type player with work. So I think he'll take over that Anthony Miller position, and he'll put in that work. Because Anthony Miller would be decent if he put in he had good work ethic,
And
which
he
he
was
doesn't.
mature, yeah.
Yeah. So I think Des Newsome, he had 72 receptions, 1,018 yards, 10 touchdowns in 2019, 54 receptions, 684 yards, and 6 touchdowns in 2020. And I think that's just mostly because of quarterback play. He didn't have a solid quarterback to throw to.
And also the
Um,
COVID season, like
and the COVID season,
people
shorter
didn't
season.
have the flashiest stats this year as they did in
Mhm.
2019, where they had an actual full season and had off-season programs and all that.
Obviously, yeah, of course, and obviously, people are. I'm not like, oh, this guy's gonna be wide receiver 2 or even
No.
wide receiver 3. No, he's a 6 round talent. I think he was like a 3 4 star recruit. Actually, I think he was a 3 star recruit.
Hmm.
So I'm not expecting too much, but I think he'll take over. He has a potential to take over Anthony Miller,
Hmm.
because Anthony Miller, honestly, is no better than a 7th rounder or undrafted player.
We
And
can't
I
look at
think,
these picks, and
yeah,
we can't look at a sixth round wide receiver and be like, that is the next Mooney. He is
yeah,
going
true.
like we can't think that they're gonna exceed their expectations like by a mile like Mooney did. But to add some nice depth, we have Riley Ridley and Javon Wims, and they don't play that many snaps. Javon Wims,
I see. I think he'll take over Javon Wims' position pretty easily. I'm
I could
not
see
too
it.
high on Javon Wims.
Hmm.
But Riley Ridley, honestly, I don't know why they don't use him.
Yeah.
He seemed like he
He
did
comes
well.
in like Riley really comes in and then he catches a bomb over the middle and then
Hmm.
he's out. You see him. You only see him on
Yeah,
like maybe
for real.
one or two snaps like a game at max.
Hopefully, he's used more.
Hmm.
I honestly believe Riley Ridley could be better than Anthony Miller too. Um,
With the work,
but I
definitely.
like this pick too. I like this Dez Newsome pick.
I like it.
This adds some competition to the wide receiver room, and this shows to Justin Fields that, hey, we're getting you some weapons too to try out, and then just choose what you like.
Hmm. With the next pick, we took cornerback Thomas Graham Jr. out of Oregon at 228. I have a feeling that this is your guy.
This is my guy.
Hmm.
I think this will be the steal of the draft. This guy, I watched the Senior Bowl, and this guy was just locking it down. He was just a demon at the Senior Bowl.
Hmm.
I think he'll be extremely solid for us. I honestly believe he has cornerback 2 potential, and I honestly believe he can work in that nickelback from the very beginning. I think he's very underrated. I feel like a lot of people knew he's very underrated. I mean, he
Hmm.
played for Oregon, so that's a decent school, but also, I mean, it's hard to show up in a lot of those situations. But he had 64 tackles, 2 interceptions, 10 PBUs.
Yeah,
That's
pass. PD pretty much the same stat.
Yeah.
Passes deflected.
So pass deflected and one
Hmm.
forced fumble, 14 games.
Hmm.
I think this is my Darnell Mooney of the draft, who I think will just be the
Hmm.
hidden gem.
I could see it honestly. He's a ball hawk cornerback. I was looking at a little bit of his gameplay or his film, and he shows some signs of being a solid prospect. I mean, PFF isn't great for everything, but PFF had that huge big board, and
Mhm.
you saw like Justin Fields is number 3, Tevin Jenkins is like number 30. And Thomas Graham was 76, which means if we got him at 228, he's number 76 by PFF standards. And then you look at who the Packers drafted. The Packers drafted Eric Stokes, and he was 72 on the big board.
Yeah.
So number 72 in the first round, or number 76 in the 220, or in the sixth round. Not in, like completely different. So I'm hoping we're obviously not expecting him to be a day one starter. We have Desmond Trufant and we have Jalen Johnson, and then we also have Kindle Vildor, possibly playing at the nickelback position for the
Yep.
season. So to have him as some depth as a prospect to develop as well, is pretty decent. I was hoping that we are going to get a defensive back because I was really hoping. I was hoping we'd get a safety as well. But to get a cornerback and to uplift that room and add more depth is just great.
I like this pick. I like this pick a lot. I think he fell farther than he should have. I think he'll be decent with us. Like I said, I think he's our hidden gem. One thing is that he is not that fast as most people like in a cornerback, but the dude's very smart. I mean, I've only heard good things from people or that I've read from like Oregon fans and people who watch Oregon. I've only heard good things. So I want to say I have high hopes for him. So hopefully he just does well with us. And for our final pick, we have a defensive tackle. I don't want to butcher his name.
Yeah, I don't want to butcher his name, so we'll call him Tonga.
Tonga. Yeah,
Tonga.
From BYU at pick 250. This was our last pick in the draft. And I just think this dude is just like massive. When I saw him, I don't know anything about him really, but the dude is just like massive, and Bears like massive people in the defensive tackle position. I mean, we have Bilal Nichols, who we got like the 5th round, who's just massive coming into the draft. So yeah, I'm happy we got him. I don't know if he'll be anything.
We're honestly with picks this late.
Picks
this late, you're just taking shots on potential. And so hopefully he's solid. I mean, we're adding more depth with our D-line. Our D-line is pretty solid. We've got Mario Edwards, Bilal Nichols, Akeem Hicks. So to add another guy that could be pretty decent, like, I mean, taking a shot. We took the shot on Bilal Nichols, and Bilal Nichols is great. So hopefully he's that guy. There's not very much expectations on a pick this low. Or this, pick this deep into the draft. But hopefully he is what we think he is.
I mean, he has good mentors. He has Akeem Hicks, though. We still have Akeem Hicks that can mentor him. But Nichols is doing better, so he can mentor him too. We have Eddie Goldman who can mentor him against the run too. So we have good mentors on that D line to help him out. I would say there's probably just like a project type pick. If anything, I think this would kind of be who our bust would be in the future, or just like a play that didn't work out. But I mean, he did come in the 7th round, so it is what it is with him.
That's true. So if we're gonna grade these picks, for Justin Fields, I'm gonna give it an A+. Obviously, I'm a huge Justin Fields fan. Tevin Jenkins, I'm gonna give an A+ as well because he's a 1st-round talent.
Yeah, I think I give Tevin Jenkins an A+ grade as well. Like you said, he's a 1st-round talent, extremely good. I think he was a steal. He shouldn't have dropped where he dropped. Easily an A+.
I think with Larry Borum, I think he saw maybe like a B. I'd say he's not on the A level as Tevin Jenkins and Justin Fields are, but he could turn into a solid prospect.
I know. I see. I'm gonna be very like, but I don't want to say biased, but I want to be very like lenient with these grading because I like this pick too. So I'm gonna give this an A because for not having any QB pressures, that's insane.
Oh, that is true.
So I think he'll be solid on the offensive line position.
With Herbert and Newsome, I'd say they're pretty solid prospects. I'd give them around like a B-.
I agree with you. I give him a B-. I think Herbert is just gonna be that kick returner. If anything, probably not even a kick returner, just on the special teams. That's Newsome. He has the potential to go in that wide receiver 4 position. But that's just kind of like a B-. I think they're solid picks, but
nothing too crazy.
Nothing too crazy.
With Thomas Graham, I think that I'm gonna give this a B+ because of the value that he got him at in the 6th round.
Yeah, I give this an A. I give this an A.
You give this an A?
I have high hopes of my guy.
Oh yeah, so this is your guy. And then with Tonga, I'd say maybe C+. Nothing crazy.
You say B+?
C+.
C+? Yeah, I was about to say I'll give this a C. So yeah, I mean, it is 7th round
crazy. Overall, this draft was amazing. I'd say that the Bears were top 3 drafted. I mean, obviously very biased, but I think that even the PFF gave out grades on every team that drafted. There were only 4 teams to get a A+. The Patriots, the Chargers, the Bears, and then I believe the last one was either the Dolphins or the Lions. So to have a top 4 draft class, and this is obviously, it doesn't really matter how you rate the draft picks as soon as the draft begins, because there are some reporters that said that the 2012 Seahawks draft was disgusting. Yeah. But I think that just watching every player that just came off the board, Ryan Pace showing that he's committed to drafting offensive pieces.
You
And
know what? I give Ryan Pace an A+ in this draft. I honestly give
easy,
Ryan Pace an
easy A
A+ in this
plus.
draft.
Who knew that it took Ryan Pace's job to be on the line for him to draft like insanely well?
I mean, I saw a comment on Reddit because I like browsing Reddit for just funny comments, and some dude said that Ryan Pace woke up realizing he's an actual NFL GM. So
You know,
I'm happy.
I saw a meme. It was like, you know, like the gamer with like moving into like the gamer pose where he's sitting down or he's like lying back and he's moving forward.
He's
Yeah,
focused. Yeah.
that's said Ryan Pace during this draft. Ryan Pace hit it out of the park. He's such a great draft.
If this draft does work out for him, and that means that last draft did work out for him, Ryan Pace is a legit GM who proved himself.
He needs to work on some of the free agency deals, like
He does.
Like with the Robert Quinn deal was discussing, and we don't have to like go off on him, but
he did hit on like Deshaun Gibson, and he did hit on some other free agents.
He did. 2020 draft was good, and 2021 draft is looking to be good, so I'm happy.
Yeah, I am happy as well.
All right, so now to talk about some guys that we wanted that didn't fall to us. My guy, or one of my guys, was safety Jamar Johnson, and he went to the Denver Broncos. It's kind of sad because the rich get richer. Their defensive backs are just a different breed. They have Kareem Jackson, they have Kyle Fuller, about to start crying. They have Bryce Callahan, and then they have Justin Simmons. They have such a great secondary, and then they got Jamar Johnson. Jamar Johnson was a lockdown safety. He was just watching his film and watching his highlight tape. I really thought that we were going to take Jamar Johnson, and he was falling. He fell. I thought that we were going to get him in the 5th. I saw that he was still on the board, or so I was hoping that we would get him, but I guess we didn't.
Yeah, I mean, I like the pick that we got with our tackle, but Jamar Johnson, I liked him too. I hoped we were gonna get it too. I remember me and you had him in our mock drafts.
We did.
I'm pretty sure. So I think Jamar Johnson would have been solid for us to learn behind Eddie Jackson, Deshaun Gibson, that safety position. I mean, Vic Fangio knows his defensive pieces. He knows who's good. So I'm not surprised that he's the one who got Jamar Johnson. I think Jamar Johnson has that potential to ball out in the future and mold into a solid safety. So yeah, that's definitely a player we missed out on that we could have had. Another player that dropped was cornerback Tay Gowan. I saw that dude tweeting out during the draft. He's like, "What did I do? How this happen?"
He was disrespected.
He was disrespected. Dude, dude was I think it was like a third round, fourth round.
He was mocked. He was mocked around that range.
So he definitely fell. He went to the Cardinals. I think it'll be a solid cornerback piece for them. I think they need help with their secondary now that Patrick Peterson left. So hopefully he balls out with them. I liked him. So
to be a little bit spoiled, I was like, I'm a big Rashad Bateman fan, but if you're gonna give me Justin Fields and Tevin Jenkins or Rashad Bateman, you know what I'm gonna pick, obviously.
Yeah, of course.
Like Rashad Bateman, he's a great prospect. He's gonna be Lamar's wide receiver 1 because I think that Sammy Watkins is not that guy. Like
yeah, of course.
And Sammy Watkins is only there for a year, so I'm happy for him. I would have loved to see him in the Bears jersey, but I'm happy with our picks.
Yeah, I'm happy with our picks too. I don't really mind this that much. There's another player from Alabama, a linebacker, Dylan Moses. He fell.
He was undrafted. He was undrafted.
Yeah, he went undrafted. So I was hoping we actually get him in like the 7th. I was hoping we get him in like the 5th. And then he passed. I was hoping we get him one of our picks in the 6th. And then he dropped, and I was hoping we get him one of our with our 7th pick, 7th round pick. And then he dropped from there, and he went undrafted. But he ended up signing, I think, with the Jaguars. I'm not sure where he ended up signing, but he went undrafted, and he was a first-round prospect. What a time in his career that he dropped because
of the injuries.
Yeah. And then he had a severe injury which he's rehabbing from still. But he dropped to be undrafted, which surprised, I think, a lot of NFL fans and a lot of college football fans, because I think he should have been taken in the 5th round easily, which is crazy that 32 teams passed on him.
Yeah.
So I was hoping we could have gotten him either undrafted if we called him immediately, but we didn't. But I mean, it is what it is. Hopefully he heals from his injuries. I thought he'd be solid.
So now let's talk about the NFC Division draft. If we're gonna be talking about the Packers had an okay draft. They didn't really impress me. I mean, they got Amari Rodgers. They got another A. Rodgers for their team.
Yeah,
They probably the only A. Rodgers that's going to be on their team in a couple of months.
12,
Hopefully. And they also got Eric Stokes in the first. They got I forgot his name. They got a center. They got a center in the second, but he wasn't even the highest rated center. Creed Humphreys was the highest rated center.
And he got taken right after. I'm pretty sure
Creed the Chiefs snagged him right after that. So I didn't like that pick. But with the Packers, they have such a good O-line coach that they can turn just bums into just like solidified starters. That's
such a strength they have. Center. Yeah, they got the Ohio State center. But also when they were showing that one of the snaps was wobbly, and we were in we were watching it with one of our friends who's a Packers fan, and then he even saw that too. He was like, we drafted this dude even in their thing was wobbly during his snap. So I thought that was funny. And I think it's funny that they drafted somebody from Ohio State when we got Justin Fields. The center from Ohio State. But
overall, their draft was decent.
The draft was decent. I mean, it was just average in my opinion.
Yeah, nothing crazy.
They got Stokes, who they need to replace Kevin King on that quarterback position. But I see Stokes as kind of like a Kevin King who's just speedy, but doesn't have that football IQ.
If Stokes can learn from Jair's arguably the best. Jair's arguably the best cornerback in the league. So if he can learn from Jair, he used that speed to his advantage. He ran a 4.29 40, somewhere around that range.
He's very fast.
He's really fast. So
he has potential.
So if he can work on that, but the thing is with the Packers draft so many cornerbacks in the first couple of rounds. They drafted Kevin King. They're always drafting their defensive backs. So when is too much? I
mean, they haven't drafted an offensive piece since 2012. I think that's a reason why Aaron Rodgers is also really mad. Which we'll talk about that in a bit. So let's move on to the Vikings about their draft. I think the Vikings had a
Vikings. I like the Vikings draft. I don't want to say it, but I like it. They got Darisaw. At 24. Somewhere around that range because they traded down with the Jets who got that pick from the Seahawks in the Jamal Adams trade. So they got that. They also beefed up their guard. They drafted another guard who was a solid prospect. But then they also got Kellen Mond in the third. They got Kellen Mond in the top of the third, and that was during a QB run because there was Kyle Trask and there was Kellen Mond, and then there was what is his name? Davis Mills taken. So there was a quarterback run, and I like Kellen Mond. I like Kellen Mond. Obviously, Justin Fields. I like Justin Fields a lot more. But
I'm sure.
Kellen Mond is a solid pick, third round. You're just taking a shot on a cornerback because what's his name? Kirk Cousins is on the last year of his deal. So you're just taking a shot. Not too bad. Overall, I think the Vikings had a solid draft. What do you think?
No, I think the Vikings had a solid draft too. I liked it. I honestly think everyone in our division had a solid draft. Really. Even going into the Lions, I think the Lions had a solid draft. They got Penei Sewell.
Yeah. That's all you got to say. They got him at 7.
So they definitely did. And I mean, when you look at the dude's reaction, their coach is crazy.
Oh, they were jumping. Yeah.
They were insane.
Their coach talks about like eating kneecaps and stuff like that.
He's like a middle school kid who just like hyped on just on a bunch of energy drinks and coffee. The dude was going crazy. I actually like the energy, so
I like it too.
I like that draft. I think we all had a solid draft.
Yeah.
But obviously,
the NFC North draft. The NFC North had a great draft, and so talking about the NFC North, let's talk about Rodgers wanting to leave. We had reports coming out. Schefter, he was live on NFL Live, and he said Schefter bomb is coming soon. You guys turn on your TVs, and everyone turns on their TVs, and he says Aaron Rodgers is so distraught with the Packers management that he wants to leave, and he's telling people that he's not coming back.
Hopefully he leaves. Please. I mean, did you not hear what he said about the GM? He's like, either I leave or the GM gets fired. And that's huge. I mean, he's pretty much ordering a high executive person in that organization to get fired, or else I'm leaving. I mean, he has the power. If he wants to, he could leave.
Dude, if you're the Packers owner, which they don't have an owner because they're publicly owned. If you're the Packers owner, hypothetically, and you have to choose between MVP Aaron Rodgers or your GM, you pick Aaron Rodgers every single time. Every single time.
I think everyone in the NFC North, minus the Packers, are watching this while eating popcorn and just enjoying it, because I honestly
I
do
love it,
believe I hope
dude.
he leaves. I mean, they drafted Jordan Love in the first last year. That's such a just a brain
Dude,
dead
it's
pick.
it's even worse when you think about who they what they were in the first the season, but right before that they were in the NFC Championship. You're
Yeah.
one game away from the Super Bowl, and you draft a position that you're the most abundant at. How does that make
So,
sense?
and you know what's even just mind blowing? What I said about them not drafting offensive piece since 2012,
Mm-hmm.
and them needing a wide receiver going into one of the best wide receiver drafts of all time,
Mm-hmm.
which was proven because almost every wide receiver from the
Yeah,
draft did really good,
they could have
and
had they could have
they
had
did not draft
Claypool.
one.
They could have had T. Higgins. They could have
Oh my
even they
god.
need linebackers. They don't have linebackers. They could have had Patrick Queen. They could have had so many impactful players, and then they just have Jordan Love sitting on the sidelines just watching the games.
Could have had Jalen Johnson.
Zero snaps. Zero snaps by Jalen or zero snaps by Jordan Love in the entire
Dude,
2020
I
season.
don't. I think that was just a disgusting,
It was
disgusting play.
it's a
And
disgusting pick and it's a
I'm
disrespectful
happy.
pick.
Yeah, I'm happy, and I think Aaron Rodgers deserves better. He
Mm-hmm.
needs to leave that
Yeah.
organization. Not because I'm a Bears fan, and
Mm-hmm.
I hate the Packers, and I despise Aaron Rodgers because he's just the greatest quarterback. But I just,
The
he
thing
needs to
is,
leave because they don't help him.
he
They
needs
really
to
don't.
leave.
He's on his own on that
I
team.
hate that I like Rodgers because you can just appreciate his talent. I hate that he beats up on the Bears twice a year and he literally
Yeah,
just murders us. But you have to just recognize his talent, and they do not build around him. They obviously he has a good offensive line. He has good offensive pieces. Actually, I'm not even gonna say that he has good offensive pieces, like receiving wise. He has Devontae Adams, and the rest of them are scrubs except for Tanyan.
scrubs. And Aaron Jones is decent.
Aaron Jones is
Aaron
decent,
Jones
yeah,
is
running
good.
back wise, but
But then what? You clamp up Devontae Adams. There's no one
mhm,
else to throw to.
yeah.
MVS is what he lost him a
You have
game by
what?
dropping the ball.
Equinemius St. Brown
Equinemius St. Brown, not good.
can't even catch balls. He
Listen,
dropped the 2-point conversion in the NFC Championship. Like,
imagine how crazy they would be if they had another just like a
imagine if
crazy receiver.
A Rob went to the Packers when he was looking for a team in
Oh
2018.
my god, they would be
They would be so
unstoppable.
deadly,
Their
dude.
offense would be unstoppable. That would be. I don't even want to think about that.
I don't
That'd
want
be
to think about
disgusting.
that, and then Kyle Fuller almost going to the Packers. Just like
Look how
how
Fuller was going
that
to
team
that.
would win so many Super Bowls. It's actually
Oh my god.
disgusting. But
Well, I
he
mean,
deserves
they
better.
didn't,
He deserves so
and
much better.
they didn't draft any receivers for him.
Hmm.
So I don't blame him for leaving. I mean, he could go to the Broncos. They have receivers. They have Cortland
I
Sutton,
will,
who's
yeah.
decent. They have Jerry Judy, who's solid. They have solid depth. They just they got a did they get yeah they got a running back. They
Javante Williams.
Williams,
Javante Williams, yeah.
Javante Williams,
Hmm.
and I have high hopes for Javante Williams. I think he'll be
Hmm.
solid. So now they got a running back, and I mean they got Vic Fangio running that defense,
Hmm.
and that defense will
The
will be certified
Broncos,
insane.
with Aaron Rodgers, instant deep playoff team.
Oh yeah,
Instantly,
instant
instantly.
Super Bowl hopes. Yeah,
Hmm.
instant Super Bowl hopes.
So that's
So
why it's obviously that division is very tough quarterback wise because you're gonna have to face Herbert, who is a top 10 quarterback, arguably top 10 quarterback, up and rising, up and coming. You have Pat Mahomes, and then you have Derek Carr, and Derek Carr is coming off his best season to date, other than his 2016 season.
mhm.
So that division is going to be dangerous. So I hope Rodgers I hope he finds a team that actually just builds around him and gives him weapons and
I agree.
if doesn't just
Get him out of
die
NFC North.
yeah doesn't die on him in the NFC Championship. Like, I mean,
Really.
when you look at the stats, his team has given up 36.4 around that range points per game in playoff losses. That is
Yeah.
disgusting. 36 points per game.
Yeah, that's. I mean, their defense has just always just been
And
above.
they always draft
besides when they
defensive
won
players in the
Super
first
Bowl.
rounds. They draft
Listen,
defensive players in the first round, and they
yeah,
don't have a good defense.
dude. Ever since they won the Super Bowl, they just refuse to help Aaron Rodgers on that offense.
Hmm.
They want to always draft bust picks in that defense. Besides Jair Alexander,
Hmm.
but other than that, they haven't been helping him out at all. They keep trying ways to fix the defense, but it's not working when you can
Hmm.
just overpower your offense and win. I mean, it's that simple for the Packers. And Aaron Rodgers is saying it's that simple. I don't blame him for saying fire this dude or I'm
Hmm.
leaving. And I hope they don't fire that dude because the dude makes horrible picks.
Yeah.
And then I hope he does leave because I want him out of the NFC North because
Hmm.
I think we'll be the best division in the North then.
Yeah. Oh,
So
yeah.
yeah, hopefully he leaves.
We'll for sure be the best team, but when the thing is, the Packers are trying to cross two lines at the same time. They're trying to plan for the future, and they're trying to live in the now. They're trying to win with Aaron Rodgers, and they're also trying to plan for the future when Aaron Rodgers is 37 years old. Aaron Rodgers is not young by any means. So they're trying
to. He's also not too old for a quarterback of that. He just won
MVP. He just won MVP.
He just won MVP.
So I don't know what they're trying to do.
He has at least 4 or 5 years in it.
So I don't know why they're trying to do that, just to plan for the future, because he didn't even have a bad 2019. He had a decent 2019.
Yeah, he did have a decent 2019.
And he went to the NFC Championship.
Yeah.
So
the team, and in 2018, people were saying it was his off year, but his off year was also really good.
His off year was 24-6, something like that.
Yeah, so that's just the team that's just doing bad.
Yeah,
so,
I don't know. He deserves better. Hopefully, gets out of this division.
Yeah, all NFC North fans and players are just praying he dips. I think he wants to dip too. So, we're just praying to God now.
Yeah,
we're just praying to God now.
I can't wait. Thank you guys for listening to the Shy Bears Blitz podcast. Next week, we've got another solid episode for you guys. Thank you for tuning in. This is the final episode of all of our draft coverage. Next week, we'll touch up on it a little bit more. But thank you guys for listening, and take care.
Take care, guys.